There you go, recording. See, I was waiting for that actually. All right, cool. So I get the pleasure of actually introducing the Ben Cooper over here, the OG virtual demo killer turned referral business and travel guru. So this guy actually travels 120 days a year. I hope you guys heard that right, by the way. 120 days a year around the world and works about the same number of days throughout the school year as well, throughout the year as well. The last 3 years, he sold $300,000, 389K, and is on track to sell $500,000 worth of Cutco. He's on pace to become the youngest and fastest member of the $2 million Hall of Fame Club. And he's put together 50K push on all virtual demos, 70K push, and 80K push, and just all in person appointments. And next summer, he's going for $150,000. And of course, actually, none of you guys know this little fun fact. He's on Sharp Ninja, like he's the Sharp Ninja on American Ninja Warrior as well. So the show that where you guys do all those like fun tricks, like little monkey. That's where he's on, and he's founder of Sharp Ninja Academy, training reps to hit the next level on all appointments as well too. So he's a great buddy of mine, great friend of mine. Excited to have him at my wedding. And without further ado, would love for him to kick us off in today's workshop masterclass.
Amazing. Alan, thanks for the warm intro as always. So much love. Oh, now you put a you actually did that. That's crazy. Alan was joking before and he's like, "Hey Ben, I'm gonna put that you're at 1.94." And I'm like, "No, you're not." He goes, "Yeah, I am." And I'm like, "Okay." I thought he was joking. He was not. So basically I need to sell $60,000 in the next 9 days to hit Hall of Fame. So that's kind of big goal I'm going after right now. But anyway, we're excited to have enough about me. We're excited to have y'all. I just want to applaud y'all right now for investing your time today. You could be doing literally anything else right now. You could be relaxing, you could be at home, you could be making phone calls, you could be finishing big goals right now. And you're not. You're here. You're here to learn something, and you're here to have your mindset challenged on something that you might not have been challenged the same way before. And I'm glad that y'all are here because, as you probably know, working on the business is so much more important than working in the business. And for those of you that don't know the difference, working in the business is making the phone calls and making sales. Working on the business is getting better at the job. And it's more important than working in the business. So if you all are going to invest your time today in this call, in this masterclass, I really want to encourage y'all to also invest your attention and your energy. Put your phones on do not disturb like I am. Close out all the other tabs that you have on the other side that I do all the time when I'm on calls. I'm like, yeah, I'm paying attention as I check my Gmail, as I check Vector Connect. Where am I at on the standings right now? Oh my God. Um, Close all the tabs, close all the distractions, get everything out of your way that could throw you off right now. You can be eating right now. You can be doing, if you got things you got to do, we're not going to stop you here. But listen with the intention to take notes, with the intention to understand, and with the intention to implement because there is no point being here today if you don't plan on implementing something you learn today. That's why you're here. We're not here to just listen and be like, "Oh, that was cool. That was wow, what a crazy aha moment." No, guys, we're here to implement and do things because that's when real change happens when you start doing things. So what are we talking about today, guys? Today we are talking about your breakout push. Your breakout push that is coming in the next 12 months. The push that by the end, you are questioning your limitations. You are wondering what you are capable of next. You are excited for the future. You do not, and I repeat, you do not burn yourself out doing it. And your momentum becomes relentless. Have you guys like seen reps in this company that just seem to get better and better? Like, what in the world are they doing? How are they doing this? They're on what I'd probably call the upward flywheel. And what I mean by that is this is where they set big goals. And they don't just set the goal, but they make a plan. And this plan involves them becoming the next greatest version of themselves. And the person they become accomplishing this goal leads to them to think even bigger. And they set the next goal. And you get the point. It's how Matt Graves, Rob Robinchek, Josh Moeller, Philip Tice, Christian Hogue, to name a few, seem to keep having their best year back to back to back. Now, y'all might have heard before that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, the level of your habits. It's from my favorite book, one of my favorite books, Atomic Habits. If you've never heard of that book, write that down, order on Amazon, game changer book. But that's true. Don't get me wrong. But you know what's also true, guys? Is your systems can only rise to the level of your goals. Your systems can only rise to the level of your goals. That's why today we aren't talking about how to have a better push. We're talking about how to have your breakout push that puts you on the path of some of the superstars of this company. So what are we not talking about today? We are not talking about how to break down a goal. We're not being like, all right, guys, you're going to sell 20K. Well, your average order is this, and your closing percentage is this. You need to do this many appointments. You need to make this many phone calls. We're not doing that. Your manager can help you with that. You can do that on your own. You don't need us for that. Number two, we are not telling you why to push. If you're here, hopefully you should already know that. Hopefully you should already be so excited about the person you can become by doing something and challenging the limitations that you didn't even know you had on yourself. Number three, we are not here to teach you how to have a $10,000 to $15,000 push. Why? I'm going to be really honest with y'all, because it's not that hard. And that might be really hard to hear for a lot of y'all, especially those of you that are new. Having a $10,000 to $15,000 push in 3 weeks is not that hard. Guys, my first summer, I had 2 of them with a $300 average order. Most of y'all have a higher average order than me. So if you're telling me you can't have a $10,000 to $15,000 push, I'm telling you, you're probably not working hard enough. You're just not. Cutco's prices are too high these days, guys. It's too easy if you put in the work to have a $10,000 to $15,000 push. And most of y'all that are here right now, I've had multiple pushes in that range. And if you haven't, that's okay too. Props for being here. Props for wanting to learn and know what it takes to get to step 5 before you've even hit step 1. Because that's thinking bigger. Number 4, we're not going to teach you a bunch of soft skills. We're not going to be like, this is how you sell ultimate sets. This is how you sell cookware. We could, but that's not what we're going to do today. We're going to teach you some skills that are very useful for selling more during a push, but we're more going to teach you how you attack a push. If you want more information on the skill set stuff, that's why you join a coaching program. That's why we have Sharp Ninja Academy, shameless plug. We'll get into that a little bit later. What are we covering today? Number 1, we're going to cover the first and most important part of push, which is the mentality. How do top achievers in this business think about a push? How to accomplish something they never thought was possible before? Alan's an amazing example of this, and he is going to be taking that part. Number 2, we're going to talk about how we take that mindset and we take it out of our brain and we put it on paper so it's not just a thing floating in the universe, and create our bulletproof plan. Not just about what we need to do, but how do we plan for what's going to ruin the plan? Because, guys, the plan ain't perfect. I don't care how good you are. The plan ain't perfect. It's never going to be perfect. How do you plan for what's going to ruin the plan? How do we get done more than y'all do with the same amount of time? How do we plan to get more done than you do with the same amount of time? Number 3, we're going to talk about what the execution of that plan looks like, guys, because the most important part of the plan is the what? The most important part of the plan is the execution. It's the most important part. So what does it take to execute a plan at the highest level, at 99% capacity? What do you do when things go wrong? How do you adjust? How do you build into a push? We'll be going over all that, and I will be covering that as well. And number 4, we're finally going to give you some tips on how and why our average order increases during a push. What are some small skill set tweaks that we can make that can make a huge difference in the size of orders we're able to create the next push that we're going after? Now, why are we giving this message now, guys? Because some of you might be wondering, like, wait a second, doesn't January contest start in like a few weeks? Isn't this a little late for this message? isn't like national push and like SC2 in like May and July or August? Isn't it really for that? And the answer is no. This is the perfect time to give this talk because this talk is not for January contests. January contest is great practice, by the way, guys. It's going to be great practice. But a great Cutco rep knows the best time to prepare for 2026 summer pushes is not a month before. It's not 2 months before. It's right blanking now. Your push guys can set the tone for your entire year and can reframe all of your goals. I want you to write this down, guys. You should not be setting push goals based on your year plan. You should be creating a year plan based on your push goals. You should not be, oh, thanks, Alan. Be setting, I'm the first time seeing this PowerPoint. It's great. You should not be setting push goals based on your year. You should be setting a year goal based on your pushes. So I hope this message excites you. I hope you're excited to hear that you're excited to learn what you're about to learn. I hope it informs you. I hope it inspires you. Most importantly, to think bigger than you ever have before so that you can do things that you ever have before. But now I get the pleasure of introducing Alan. And Alan Hernandez has such a cool story. And I'm not going to spoil his whole story. He's about to tell most of his whole story. But Alan Hernandez started a year before me in the business. I started 2018. He started 2017. We actually met, I believe, in 2019. We were in the same coaching program in 2019 under a great guy named Matt Foss. Hope you all heard of him. He sells a lot of Cutco, a lot of hundreds of thousands of Cutco. And me and Alan grew in the business almost side by side, year after year after year, watching each other accomplish such amazing things. And Alan's just a guy who is just relentlessly focused on why and relentlessly focused on achieving the next greatest level of himself. He had a $300,000 year, I believe his fourth or fifth year in the business, if my memory is correct. Allen is having his best year ever this year. Is on pace for at least, I want to say 450,000, if not more. I could be wrong on that one. And it's just someone who's always looking to find the next level, and he's done it mostly in the last couple of years through his pushes. And obviously, guys, as you probably know and have probably heard, he had a $145,000 push this year. There was no giant business gift order in that push, guys. He just cranked service calls and appointments and called his past customers. That's it. And third of this guy's entire year was in his SC2 push. And he planned for this. He expected that to happen. He based his year goal off his push, not his push off his year goal. So with that, I'm going to kick it to Alan, who's going to really take you guys behind the hood of how did he attack a goal this big and this massive when he had never done anything like this before. That, Mr. Alan Hernandez.
All right. Cool, guys. So there's a reason why we start with mentality, right? There's a reason why I wanted to start with this section first. And you hear this constantly in this business in Cutco. It's the bedrock, right, for all of our success. Push, I believe, it doesn't start with tactics. It just doesn't. It doesn't start with schedules. It doesn't start with scripts. It will always and always start with mentality. It just does. Right? There's a reason why so many people, they have the blueprint to sell 20K, 30K, 40K for push. I can reverse engineer every single person's goal in this chat right now and tell you exactly how many orders you need, how many appointments you need to have, how much CPO you need to create to make this happen. But at the end of the day, not many people will make it happen. Why? Because it always starts here. It will always start here. So I want to share my own push journey, not because my story is special, but honestly, because the lessons inside of it are universal. So as I go through this, I'm going to pause at key moments to teach and to give you guys space to reflect and to take notes. Because it's not just a story, it's a blueprint. It's the reason why I was able to sell over 140 grand this past summer. And I want you to really hear the section. And when I ask you questions, reflect on them. And if something sticks out to you, great. Listen to that. Pay attention to it. Because the mentality you develop and learn will be the reason you either hit whatever crazy push goal you have next year or don't. So really the story starts for me personally back in 2021. I had just come off the best year of my life. I sold $300,000. I bought my first property. It's in the best shape of my life. I met my now fiance as well too. And I won my Rolex. On the outside, everything looked dialed in. This was the biggest mistake that I made, though. I thought that I had made it. I thought there was nothing left to chase. I said, I did it. I won the Rolex. I'm good. So when 2022 came around, I didn't consciously just quit, but I actually just stopped deciding. I just showed up and just said, let's just see what happens. There's no internal target. There's no emotional pull. There's just no fire anymore. And as I go through the story, by the way, guys, I'm going to be asking you guys to actually put some things in the chat as well, too, that I'm going to love for you guys to, kind of be back and forth here. So type a one in the chat if you've ever been in the season where you were just kind of showing up, but you were completely checked out. You were just going through the motions. Let's see if some one's in the chat here. Right? We've all been there before. And what happens after that? Here's what happened to me after that. Here's what really happened. I gained 20 pounds. I sold way less than the year before. I was completely unfulfilled. Right? I was just going through the motions, not because the opportunity changed. In fact, people were selling way more in 2022 than 2021, but because my mentality changed. I wasn't playing to win anymore. I was playing not to lose. So there was a question that started this shift in 2022, and it was in November of that year that I went to a retreat. And I was asked a question that I never really sat with before. And it was, why are you here? Why Cutco? Why this business? Why do I do this? And then, but when I was asked that question in the past, it was always very superficial answers like, well, money to live, right? But I realized something very uncomfortable. I had goals, I had dreams, yeah, but I never really asked myself, well, why? Right? Raise your hand, by the way, if you've ever written down a goal simply because it was just asked of you and you just wrote something down because it just sounded right. And that's what I was doing for so long. I just wrote it down because it sounded right. So I wrote something down that sounded right. I wrote something down. I said, I'm just here to show up to go after big goals and execute big goals for the sake of others. That's what I wrote down in that retreat. And at the time, I thought, all right, this is it. This is my why. I'm going to go after really big, challenging goals. But looking back, I knew it wasn't true yet. It sounded good, but it wasn't anchored. And that matters because sounding good and being true, they're not the same thing. So this is where the first mental shift, I'm going to teach you guys 4 mental shifts within this story. The first mental shift, it was an emotional hell yes decision. So not long after that retreat, I had a call with one of my mentors, Josh. And I spent most of that call complaining about how terrible 2022 was. And he stopped me and he said something that I'll never forget. He said, I want to give you complete and epic permission to let go of everything that's happened this year. Complete and epic permission to let go of everything that's happened this year. And that sentence freed me. I let go of the past. And then he asked me a new question. He asked me, what would excite you for next year? And I listed off a bunch of things, right? For 2023, I said, I want to run a marathon. I, want to save this much money, right? I want to do this. And I remember I got to the push and I said, I would love to go after another big push like that. And I threw out, $60,000, $75,000. And he asked me this question and he said, what would it look like to go after 100? And my brain immediately was like, no way. No way, Josh. And I told him that. I said, no way, I'm not going to be able to do that. And he didn't argue back. He said, I'm not asking if you can do it. I'm asking, what would it look like? What would it look like? And so I thought, instead of sabotaging myself, I pulled out my numbers. I looked at the facts versus my feelings, looked at the plan. And then he said this is what really kind of sealed the deal for me. He said, what would it look like if you became the first rep in Rising Sun history to sell $100,000 for SC2 push? And that was it. That was the moment where my brain was like, this is the decision. There's no hype, no ego. It was just full clarity on a decision that I wanted to go in on. So a lot of people, guys, will state goals, right? They're write down their goals because their manager told them to. I'm going after 20K for push, whatever. But very few people will decide on that goal, will have an emotional hell yes decision on that goal. A stated goal sounds like I want to. A decision sounds like this is what I'm doing. And I'll say that again. A stated goal sounds like I want to. A decision sounds like this is what I'm doing. Your subconscious mind does not respond to vague targets. It's going to respond to absolute clear commitments. Confusion will always kill your momentum, but clarity is going to create your energy needed to go after this goal. And when you don't decide something, your brain's always going to negotiate with you. Today's not the good day. You're good. You can rest. It's okay. But when you decide something, you go after something, you kill everything off, your brain starts solving problems, which is exactly what happened when that question was asked of me. I started looking for solutions on how 100K was possible. All right. And I looked through it and I said, well, if I max out my sales, I increase my average order, it is possible. It was scary as hell, but it was possible. That was the first mental shift, an emotional hell yes decision. So when you guys write this down, I want you guys underneath the emotional hell yes decision, I want you guys to write this down. What have you been thinking about a push goal, but not fully deciding? So where have I been thinking about a push goal, but not fully deciding? Where are you leaving yourself for an emotional exit, right? That little out, that little like escape hatch. You're like, it's okay if I don't hit this. And lastly, what would it feel like to fully decide? Don't change anything yet, right? Don't right, just write these down. Just notice what comes up. So fast forward a little bit. So from that November 2022 to July 2023, I prepared. I planned, I built my list, I got a driver, right? I made over 1,500 phone calls. It was the most amount of phone calls I've ever made. I spent a lot of time prepping for this 100K push goal that I was going after. And that summer, after all that prep work, I sold $74,000. I was really disappointed with myself, but hey, that was the most I've ever sold. So that following year, I was like, all right, let's go after it. I prepped even harder. I refined everything. I'm going to improve my average order. I'm going to fix the certain things that I, shouldn't have done last year, right? Not go to Yuma, Arizona, terrible city, by the way. And I sold $84,000, only 10 grand more. And that second year was very, very tough for me. I grew a little bit, sure, but I knew that something was off internally. Something was really off. And it was one of the hardest decisions to try to go after for a third year. And it was actually one of the lowest mental points I ever was at. From July of 2024 to March of 2025 of this year, I was actually in the worst mental state of my life. It didn't look like it. I was still selling. Right? I was going through the motions again. I didn't realize it, but something was missing. I was debating even going after this for the third year in a row. To fail 2 years in a row and to go after it again, can imagine the fears coming up. What if I fail a third time? What are people going to say? Right? How are people going to look at me to go after it again? I remember someone texted me after the second year in a row. They texted me after I failed. They said, "Oh, better luck next time." And I was like, "Oh man, that sucked. That hurt." And I went back to going through the motions. And I remember looking for ways out even. I didn't know why. Which brings me to mental shift number 2, discovering your true why. So in March 2025, I went to another retreat. A lot of common factors here with going to retreats. So I went to another retreat, and through this reflection and through this retreat, I uncovered something that changed my whole perspective. I realized that my entire life, since I was 5 years old, I've been operating from a disempowering belief that whenever I achieve something, I'm going to get recognized. And when I get recognized, I'm going to get loved. And when I get loved, I'm enough. That was ingrained in my brain since I was 5 years old, from my family members, from my teachers, from my cousins. And I'm sharing this with you to be fully vulnerable with you guys because I want you to understand the psychology behind this. This is what was driving me, what went from school to getting good grades to being successful in sports to eventually finding myself in Cutco. And in Cutco, as you guys are aware, you see everyone's sales reports, you see silver cups, you see push it, you see everything. So in this world, oh my God, achievement for me was everything. I was like, I gotta achieve in order to be recognized. And I wasn't chasing goals. I was chasing validation to earn love. And it's not a healthy place to operate from. So I was actually sabotaging myself during my push. Because subconsciously I was thinking, what if I hit the goal and I'm still not enough? What if I do everything right and I'm still not recognized? And that was a moment that I realized something deeper is going on. And I knew that I can't operate from that place anymore. And that's when the true why finally surfaced because I asked myself, well, what is important to me? What do I actually want if I were to let go of this version of me? Then I realized this I do not care if no one recognizes me for the next 10 years or for the rest of my life. As long as I can be fully present for my future family and work hard enough to become fully job optional by 2035. That was the new why for me. And I anchored it with this sentence: I am unconditionally loved and recognized by God, myself, and my family. And that's enough for me now and forever. And I wrote that sentence down after that retreat every single day leading up to push and every single day during push. And even now, right? I'm not doing every day after push now, but I am doing it on my morning routine days. And that one sentence removed so much pressure and kept me grounded, right? Kept me rooted. So this why was what came uncovered. And why rooted in validation, by the way, will burn you out. A why rooted in alignment will ground you. Right? Your true why is not what sounds impressive, it's what feels peaceful. So the mental shift is the true why. So on below that, ask yourself right now, what is my current why rooted in? Is it alignment or approval? Is it alignment or approval? Have I ever asked myself why I'm here? So once my why was clear, my mentor asked me a question that then changed how I'm going to start approaching these things, how I'm approaching this 100K push. Who do I need to become to make this inevitable? Not what do I need to do, it's who do I need to be? There's a very distinct difference there. And he gave me a framework to operate under. It was identity, beliefs, and skill set. See, most people try to like do their way into a new identity. They try to like act their way into it. But high performers, they become first and then the behavior follows. See, identity is who you embody, beliefs are what you assume to be true, and skills are what you practice consistently. So I stopped asking myself, how do I hit $100,000? But then I started asking myself, what does $100,000 pusher look like on a random Tuesday? What does he look like? What is he doing? What is he thinking? And I would journal and reflect on that constantly. Right. And I would write down so many things, right? $100,000 pusher, is someone that believes in themselves, that trusts in his ability, trusts in God, that, believes in his skill set, has $1,000 average order, right? That has a plan in place, has a team around them, right? Has a morning routine established, going to the gym, so many different things. But the point of it is identifying the identity around that. I needed to have that shift. So what does the identity look like to you? If you're thinking about a push goal right now, something that scares you, that you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe I can, I don't know. Think of that number and ask, well, if it were possible, what does that version look like? What does a version of Brent look like? What does that version of Cameron look like? What does that version of Ariel look like? And write some stuff down under identity, beliefs, and skill sets. Because you're not chasing a goal, you're stepping into a role. And my final shift as I was approaching this 2025 push in SC2 was releasing all limitations, because that fear was still there. What if I fail again? Right? This is the third year in a row I'm doing it. What are my customers are like? Didn't you do this last year? And I had to release all limitations. One of the most important things I've ever learned. Release all limitations. Everyone here in this call, and even the top CSPs, have limiting beliefs. And you can even name them right now. They might come up. Do I have enough customers? Do I have enough time? Do I have enough skill set? Right? And you look at someone else. Oh, well, that person has the business gift customers. That person has, the money for this, right? This person has, fill in the blank, right? Regardless, those are limits that are holding back. They might feel logical, but they're just stories. Limitations will always feel rational, which is why they will always keep people stuck. Releasing limitations doesn't mean blind optimism. It just means committing to the work and letting the outcomes unfold. Releasing limitations does not mean blind optimism. It means committing to the work and letting outcomes unfold. So I stopped asking myself, can I do this for a third year in a row? And I started asking myself, what would it look like if I committed to the actions to make this possible? And that's all I did. And that's all I focused on. And I visualized beyond the goal. And I released all limitations. And I told myself, I'm open to receiving whatever may come my way. So, what limitations do you keep repeating? What beliefs are you holding on to around any goal that you're going after? Is it a fact or is it fear? And what would change if you focused only on the controllables? That's the fourth mental shift, release all limitations. So what was the end result after all this and going into the push? Funny enough, I was entering in this push and I felt very calm, very relaxed. I felt like it was going to happen. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, the best way to describe it is like if you know how you wake up and you're like, you know what you're going to do that day. That's how it felt. Because 14 days into the push, I sold $100,000. By day 20, sold 145. And not because I was special, because the mentality finally matched the mission. It took 3 years, but it came to be. And that's all it took. So let me say this clearly before we move on. And by the way, if you need the points, here are the 4 key mental shifts for you to write down. And for those of you taking notes, I'm going to share my screen here again so that you guys can get it. So let me say this clearly before we move on. If you skip the mentality and just jump straight into the plan will eventually collapse. Right? It just is. Not because you're lazy or because you're incapable, but because execution can only sustain what your identity supports. And up until now, we've been working on the inside of push, right? Clarity, commitment, why, right? All these 4 mental shifts that we just talked about, who you're becoming, releasing all the limits. This is all the foundation. This mindset alone. This is the mindset, the mentality. However, it can't move numbers. At some point, this mentality has to turn into structure. Because the push goals, it doesn't reward intention, it rewards aligned action repeated consistently. This is where a lot of people fall into the trap. Rewards aligned action repeated consistently. They have a big goal, they feel motivated, they feel clear, but they don't have a system that can carry that clarity day after day. So what ends up happening is this: they start strong, they burn hot, they rely on emotion, right? We've been there before where we're just like, we're so excited and gung-ho about going after a very big goal, and then something throws us off balance, and then we're like, maybe not. This is why so many New Year's resolutions fail after 11 days. This is a fact because we operate under emotion versus creating a system or a structure that can sustain that. And so, what actually sustains a push is not motivation, it's structure. And structure is what's going to protect your days on when you don't feel like it. It's what's going to keep you moving when doubt shows up. And it's what's going to turn a hell yes decision into daily execution. So, we're going to shift gears. We're going to take this mentality, these 4 key mental shifts that we just built and talked about, and we're going to give it a container. We're going to talk about the actual plan that I created actually during my 145K push goal. I'm going to break it down as well too for you, and so that you can see how it's broken down, and you can start creating this for yourself. And then you can break down your goal into something that your nervous system can handle, and how to create momentum early instead of waiting it for it to just to kind of magically appear. Because the real push is not going to feel chaotic, it's going to feel intentional. And once you have both the mentality and the plan, that's when things start to click. So that's where we're going to go next. All right. And there's 4 parts of this. So creating your bulletproof plan. So part 1, break down your goal to the ridiculous. So every year that I went after my push goal, I broke it down to the absolute ridiculous that I could. So I wanted to know the following. I wanted to know my current average order, the total number of orders that I needed to help close or to help hit my goal, my booking percentage, so how many appointments that I needed to book, my closing percentage, right? What's my closing percent, my closing ratio, right? And I needed to know if my other layers as well too. Then I broke my business into layers that I could control. For me personally, it was events, service calls, and sale promo. I know everybody on this call has different layers that they're utilizing. Some people have a business gift layer. Some people have a lot of demos that they do. The point is to pick your layers that you're going to utilize for your push period. And every layer is going to have your role. Every layer will have your realistic, projection. Now, for the layers, here's how you want to break it down. How many orders and CPO will come from each layer? How many orders and CPO is going to come from each layer? For me, for example, for events, it was 22 grand is going to come from events, about 33 orders. For service calls, it was going to be around 70 grand. And the rest is going to come from my sale promotion that I was running. That's it. Those are my 3 layers. For your appointments, how many appointments do you need to book? How many appointments do you need to complete? Right? All of these things, right, are like the nitty-gritty details that you want to break down to the absolute ridiculous. Phone calls. How many phone calls you need to make to create the appointments needed? And you want to break that down into 2 parts. How many you need to make before push and how many you make during push. Ben's going to be talking a little bit more about that, in his section. Now, why is this so important? And I speak on this because numbers are going to create clarity, and clarity creates confidence. While confusion, if you're confused on it, it's going to create hesitation. If you can't explain where your orders are going to come from, then your nervous system will not believe in the goal because it doesn't see how it's going to get there. Right? It's like if I told you how to get to someone's house, but I don't give you directions or a map, you're kind of just guessing, right? You might get there eventually, but you don't know. And it's going to create that hesitancy versus if I gave you clear cut directions on where to go, you're like, cool, I can do it. That's why it's so important to have the clear numbers in front of you. So break the goal down to the absolute ridiculous, right? And Ben and I will be sharing our push goal tracker at the end of this call that I've created or he created that you guys can get access to as well. Number 2, build the calendar around energy and activity. So once I had all the numbers and where all my layers are going to come from, I started to build my calendar. Now, a lot of people, they'll dive right into just plugging in their appointments, their events, everything. I actually like to start with energy. And this is the question that I want you guys to ask yourself. What do you need in place to show up at your highest possible self for 3 straight weeks or however many weeks your push is? For me, it was 3. What do you need in place to show up at your highest possible self for 3 straight weeks? And that's when I identified my non negotiables for me. For me, it was 1 full day off each week, a consistent morning routine, daily gym time, and I still put in date nights once a week for me and my fiance. And I've tested lighter versions before. I've done like half days off, stuff like that. It never worked. And I realized in order for me to show up at my highest self during my appointment days, this is what I need to have in my schedule. You also need to identify what drains your energy. What are the things that if you do throughout the weeks, drains your energy significantly? Now, the obvious ones like making phone calls, those are obviously necessary, but there might be some things that you can remove or get rid of, whether it's people, whether it's, going to bed late, whether it's substances, whatever it may be. You can fill in the blank there, but identify the things that can drain your energy. I'll give you an example for me. For me, it was actually driving. I hate driving with an absolute passion. It sucks, personally. So what did I do? I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to show up for 9 appointments in a given day at my absolute best, I'm hiring a driver. And so that's what I did. I hired a driver. He picked me up. We drove to every appointment every single day, dropped me off, and we were good. Right? Just a buddy of mine that needed some money, paid him like $100 a day, took care of it. To me, that was worth the investment because it allowed me to get my energy back and either sleep a little bit in between each appointment, get my energy up, make phone calls if I needed to make phone calls, whatever. But I knew that was my energy drainer. So I adjusted for it. And I'm not sharing that because I don't want you guys to go out there and be like, well, Alan said to go out and get a driver for push. That's how I'm gonna have a big push. Like, no, I'm sharing that to identify what your energy drainers are. Right? Energy is the real currency of push. If you spend it carelessly early, you're going to pay for it later. Right? So burnout isn't about working too much. It's about leaking energy in places you didn't really plan for. So put in your schedule your energy makers first and remove your energy drainers as much as you can. Right? That's the number one most important thing. After you put in your energy, put in the appointments, put in the layers, the things that are going to drive the needle. For me, literally, if you look at my push schedule, it was purely just appointment, 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 sleep. That was it. And then day off. That was all. That was my entire push schedule. I made sure that the only thing I was focused on is that, right? Besides, obviously, my days off and my date nights and stuff like that. But any working day I had, I made sure that everything was there. So now the biggest question I always get asked is, well, what about, like the admin stuff, right? All the things that you have to get done throughout the week. So that brings me to the third part for your bulletproof plan. Remove any friction. Before push started, I cleaned up everything that can distract me. So I asked myself, what will come up during push that I can handle right now? And I made a list. I had a personal list and a professional list. And the personal list, I wrote down everything: car, haircut, finances, flights, right? Room clean, haircuts, clothes, like everything. And I made sure that everything was taken care of, right? So I got my car detailed, my flights booked, my room was clean, you name it. And I also simplified daily decisions because, like I said, I wanted to make sure that the only thing I could focus on was just selling. So what were the daily decisions? Well, every day I knew exactly what I was wearing. I literally just had like my uniform that I was going to wear every day. It was like a black t-shirt and shorts. That was it. And I would just switch between that every single day. My meals, I didn't want to decide what I'm eating that day. So I hired a buddy who was a, home cook. And I said, hey, can you make me, 21 meals, right? Or I think it was 44 meals. right? For a whole push period. He was like, yeah, I can do that for you. I was like, great. And I paid him like $400 for it. And that was it. And I had nice meals for like they were healthy. Bedtime and wake time. I had that systematized. I didn't want to think about anything. I don't want to debate. I don't want to negotiate with myself. I just wanted to show up and do. Right. So making sure that everything was allocated beforehand. And I knew that the day before push started as well. This is a little pro tip for you guys, at least for me. I wanted to make sure I had a full reset day or recovery day. So I literally went to sauna, steam room, massage, 2 hour massage. Yeah, what else did I do? A chiropractor appointment. I did everything to make sure that I was prepped because I learned this the hard way. What I don't prepare will compete with my focus. So what you don't prepare for will compete with for your focus. And so make sure that you are prepared for these things. And that means having the full reset day. That means making sure that everything is systematized, having your personal and professional list done as well. So what does it mean on the business side? What does the business side kind of look like? On the business side, I made sure everything was ready. Service call system, my bag was ready, my event materials, my call lists were all finalized, right? I made sure that everything was prepped beforehand so that I can show up ready to go. Push does not start on day one. This never starts on day one. It's always starts 5 weeks beforehand. The earlier you start, the better. And the bigger the goal, the earlier you need to start for sure. And then my last part here, guys, and I'll kick it off to Ben, is auditing your environment, auditing your surroundings. My last step was auditing my environment and my circle. I didn't want discipline to be the plan. I wanted the environment working in my favor. So when I created my why or my vision statement, I actually put that everywhere. I put that in my car. I put that in my notebook, my blue book, my phone. I just put it everywhere that I could see it. I also removed all distractions. Social media was gone from my phone. Netflix, Crunchy, anything was gone through my phone. My fiance actually took away my PlayStation 5. That was gone, right? Anything that was going to distract me was gone. The only thing I wanted to focus on was selling. That was it. And I was also very intentional about people. I did daily check-ins with my mentor. Every morning I would message him or voice note him saying, here's my activity for the day. And every evening I would give him a recap of the day. Right. And I did the same thing with actually Ben as well. Ben was my accountability partner during the whole push period. He said, here's what happened. Here's what I did. Here's what I did. I set clear boundaries. Some of you guys needed to get really good at this. I set clear boundaries with my friends and my family. And I let them know that, hey, during this period, I will probably not be available. I'm going after a really big goal that's super important to me. I'll be free before and after, but during this time, I will probably be MIA. I love you. I just will not be available. Just letting you know that right now. And almost 99% of them were cool with it. So basically, here's a whole sentence to sum this up. Your environment's going to either carry you through this push or it's going to quietly pull you out of it. Because if everything around you is pulling you in 10 directions, discipline's not going to save you. You don't rise to the level of your motivation, you're going to fall to the level of your environment. You don't rise to the level of your motivation, you fall to the level of your environment. So, this entire system, this entire bulletproof plan here, this 4 parts, this entire system exists for one reason, so that when push starts, you're not scrambling, you're executing. Right? Clarity creates confidence. Energy is the real currency. Preparation creates focus, and your environment's going to shape your outcome. That's how you avoid burnout. That's how you stay grounded. That's how you give yourself the best chance to have a breakout push. So, with that, I'm going to pass it on to Ben here because now we're in the middle of push. And he's going to tell you about executing this actual plan itself. Ben, take it away.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I've heard Alan give so many messages similar to this so many times, and every time I hear it, I just love it. Because what I hope you guys noticed, and it's, I think it's pretty obvious, is how relentless is Alan's plan? Is he doing anything that you can't do? Is he doing anything that you are not capable of doing? No. He's just doing every possible thing he could think of that anyone has told him to do to create the perfect plan. And the reason he's willing to do that and he's willing to think these thoughts and figure out what it takes is because he's so committed to that goal. Because he knows why he's going after that goal. He has the desire to go after that. And that's what changes everything. Now, there's a reason why we started with the mentality, and Alan obviously already went over this, because you can't execute at the highest level, which we're about to talk about right now, without the mentality and without the plan. There is no execution without the mentality and the plan. But what is execution? I said earlier, guys, execution is the most important part of the plan. I saw this really fun. I remember I don't know if I would call it a meme or something, a GIF on Instagram of some sort, and it was like it was a guy like, oh my God, I just created the perfect plan for X, Y, and Z, and it was like, ah, sweet. Now we got to do the plan. Ah, yes, the doing of the plan. Yes, 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 that sounds great. You want to go get coffee? Yeah, let's go get coffee. The doing of the plan is the most important. Because as I said earlier, and as Alan has said, and I really want to emphasize this, guys, the first major point of today is push does not start 2 weeks before push starts. Push does not start in 2 weeks. Push does not start the week before SC2. It doesn't start the week of SC2. Push starts right freaking now. Push starts right now. Because execution also starts right now. Guys, and there's 4 reasons why. Number one is momentum is real, guys. Momentum is a real thing. I used to be in the momentum isn't real crowd. You can't quantify it. You can't define it. It doesn't make sense. I'm very logical. But when you see it over and over and over again, it's just hard to deny. I mean, great companies keep getting greater. And negative momentum, guys, is also real. It takes a real, actionable change to uproot it. Have you ever noticed he's like, oh, I didn't make phone calls this week. Oh, I didn't make phone calls next week. Oh, I didn't make phone calls next week. This week I'm going to be more motivated. Does it happen? No, because you have to make real, actionable change to get out of that negative momentum chain and get into the positive momentum. And so, guys, the question I got to ask for you, do you want to start the push with positive momentum or stagnant? Do you want to start the push with positive momentum or negative? Guys, the second reason why it's so important to start push now, quote unquote, is guys, how much easier is it to scale something up than to start and stop? Anyone on this call run? Anyone on this call an athlete? Anyone like to, go for a fun run every once in a while? I'm one of those people. I'm a little crazy. I like to run. Um, anyone ever taken like, a month off running, 2 months off running? It's like, all right, let's go run 5 miles this week. How does that go? Does it go well? No, no, it doesn't go well. It really hurts. For those of you that have never ran, if I told you to go run 5 miles, it would really hurt. Want to know why? Because again, it's a lot easier to scale up and scale down than to start and stop. Even if you were running 1 day a week for that month, it would be so much easier to go for that run afterward. It's the same thing with Sell and Cutco, guys. For those of you that are like, oh, I'm going to take a few weeks off before push, and then I'm just going to hit it. Doesn't work, guys. Oh, I haven't sold anything this fall. I'm just going to go into J Pro Push and I'm just going to kill it. Best of luck. Push starts now, guys. If you're trying to kill J Pro Push, you better be booking demos this week because the momentum you build is going to carry into that push. It's very hard to start something. So, guys, my first summer, I sold about $40,000. Had a great first summer, and I went to the school year like, I don't want to sell during the school year. You can't, sell and have fun and party and get good grades at the same time. No one's ever done that before. And I came back the next summer, guys, and it took me 5 weeks to sell $1,000 of CPO. I sold 40K that summer. And it took me 5 weeks to sell the first 1,000 of CPO. Guys, the reason this works, the reason why this is so important is our push plans are not designed to be unsustainable. As you just heard Alan say, he took a day off every single week of push. We don't sacrifice things that mean the most to us. We're not working super hard and then working all out. We're working hard and then we're working harder because we're always working. We don't sacrifice the things that mean the most to us. We protect them because they drive our pushes, they drive our years. I will not push to sacrifice my year. I will not push to sacrifice my year. I push for the benefit of my year. Second reason why it's important to start now is it's easier to scale up, not to just start. Number 3, this is the time to build your referral bank. A couple months before push, for those of you that run a referral-based business, and if you don't, well, we're going to talk today. This is the time and opportunity. Some of y'all do demos. Some of y'all only do events and service calls. And for most of y'all, not all, but for most of y'all, you are limiting your potential for a push if you are relying on solely events and service calls to have your biggest push ever. Is your best event ever that week? Do you have 75 baller customers that have had Cutco and not been serviced in the last 3 to 5 years and are dying to get serviced those specific weeks? For most of you, for me as well, at $2 million in career sales, the answer is no. You don't have thousands and thousands of customers that have had Cutco for decades. So if you don't want your schedule to limit your push, let me say this one more time. If you don't want your schedule to limit your push, it's time to learn to do demos again if you've stopped doing demos. It's time to build a massive referral bank. Because guys, demos are not just, if you're not in college right now, it's not just for the college kids. I am 25 years old. I am not in school. I sold $500,000 this year, guys. Do you know where most of that CPO came from? Demos and service calls. What's your excuse? I had 2 massive business gift orders this year. They were $18K and $25K. The rest of this is all demos. This is the time to make the decision to commit to generating and calling referrals. If you need help with that, that's why Alan and I made Sharp Ninja Academy. And there's other amazing coaching programs that can help with this too. The 4th reason why, guys, this is so valuable to start creating momentum now as the plan for your push is what I call the inch wide, mile deep philosophy. And Rob Brandt first taught me this because this is my favorite skill in the job, and it's called social proof, guys. I want you to imagine right now, guys, close your eyes. It's summer. You have 75 appointments set for your push. They are all in the same town. In that same town, you have 200 to 300 customers, many of which bought big sets in the last 8 months. And you can just name drop and name drop and name drop 20, 30 people they know that have spent $2,000 to $5,000 with you. Since everyone else is buying and giving you referrals, what do you think people during that push are going to do? Open your eyes. Does that sound awesome or what? Because that's how I had an $80,000 push working 4 days a week. 5 days a week, 5 days a week. Pretty sure 5 days a week. And it's how I'm going to have a $150,000 push next year. So if that sounds exciting, now is the time to create that network. And just like Alan said, guys, the last thing is that when you have that momentum before push, it allows you, it makes it easy to book half the appointments before push starts. The less time you spend phoning during the push, the more time you have to do appointments. So just like Alan said, guys, if you can have half your appointments, spend the Wednesday through Sunday before push, making a lot of phone calls, you are going to set yourself up for so much success. And those leads you generate from those initial appointments are going to drive and finish your push. That's all you're going to need. Biggest thing I want you guys to get out of today in execution, guys, is push starts now. Whenever push is, the best time to start preparing is right now. Number two, when it comes to execution, a lot of people make their plans and they're like, oh my God, it's the perfect plan. I love it. My schedule's great, incredible. And you could argue this is a planning skill, but I'm going to also call this an execution skill, guys, because I want you to challenge everything. I want you to challenge everything in your schedule. I want you to ask yourself, how can I fit one more appointment in this day? How can I do it? Don't ask if, ask how. Can you stack appointments closer to each other? Can you minimize drive time? I am changing networks from a network an hour and a half away from me to a network 20 minutes away from me. So that next summer, I can stack 1 to 2 extra appointments in per day. And that's going to be the biggest difference in my push. Guys, can you cook less? Alan said, hey, I got a chef and he made my meals. That works. I just meal prep 6 to 10 meals at a time. Works too. Bring all my meals with me. Eat in the car. Eat outside appointments. Whatever it is. Can you stack things together? What do I mean by stacking? Can you stack social time with working out? That's how I do at run clubs. Can you stack phone calls while driving, like I did with my mentees? Can you stack texts while you're at the gym between sets? You're not always going to do this, but it's push, guys. What are things that you can stack together that you don't normally stack? What are ways you cannot waste time? Does something really need to take that long? Does your morning routine really need to be 15, 20, 30 minutes? Can it be 5 during push? Does that get you everything you need? Does your reflection time need to be exactly that long? Challenge everything. I'm gonna skip. Oh, we might have time. A couple notes that I might dive into later if we have time. I really want to make sure we have time for the wrap up here, guys. Is make sure you're running a sale during your push. Do you have a marketing plan? And are you executing that marketing plan? Are you texting all your customers at least 3 times in the push? There is a sale. Reminder, there is a sale. Last chance, the sale is almost over. It takes 3 times. Are you texting every single one of your customers or using a texting service during your sale, during your push? Does it end the last day of your push? Give yourself all the opportunities to create CPO. And the last and most important thing I want to talk about when it comes to execution, guys, today is what happens when things go wrong. Because it's not if things go wrong, it's when things go wrong. Because it's not about, because here's the thing, guys, everything's going to go wrong, obviously. Um, it's not about the goal. It's about who you're becoming in the process of going after the goal. Allen missed hitting 100K for push twice. He went after it 3 times. Was he bummed, so depressed after the first time he couldn't move? No. He was really grateful at the very least that he had his best push ever. He didn't hit the goal, but he was becoming a person that was capable of hitting $100,000. And instead of, feeling depressed, going after a new goal next year, he's like, sweet, what do I do now so that the things that didn't go wrong before go right the next time? So Alan asked earlier, guys, what does it take to become someone that can have a breakout push? What are their beliefs? What are their limiting mindsets? So what I want to ask y'all is like, what's the one of the worst things that can happen during a push? In my opinion, it's not the no sales. The averages always work out. It's not the customers are mean to me. It's not usually the car breaks down. Like that can happen, but it's not usually the case. The thing that's the most common, it's going to happen to all of you, is what happens when you show up to the demo of the day that you are most excited to show up to at 7:40 at night. Husband and wife are supposed to be there. It's on a street named after them in this town. Their house looks insane. There's a gate in front, and they're not home. No show. It can be one of the worst feelings in the middle of a push. Worst feelings. You text them, you call them literally 6 times, and they text back, "Oh yeah, we're at dinner. Also, we just don't want to do the demo." What do most people do at 7:40 p.m. when they get a last second no show? Most people go home. Most people go to bed. That's not what champions do. That's not what it takes to have your best ever breakout push. Because if you're going to have your best ever breakout push, you work till the bell. You go and stop at a gas station like Ben Cooper did summer of 2024, and you make phone calls until 8:30 p.m. And your last phone call that you make is a guy that answers the phone and says, "Dude, it's 8:30. Why are you calling me?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm so sorry. I'm just working on this big contest. Sally told me to give you a call." And I book him for a demo for the next day for a time slot I was trying to book that whole week. And he ended up being my biggest order of that push for $5,000. That can be the difference, guys, between having your breakout push and just falling short. Are you truly committed to the effort, or are you just committed to the result? Are you truly committed to the effort, or are you truly committed to the result? Because when you're committed to the effort, you followed what's called the miracle equation. If you haven't heard this before, Hal Elrod coined this. And the miracle equation goes with unwavering faith and extraordinary effort, miracles can happen. That doesn't mean they will happen, but they can. But only with extraordinary effort and unwavering faith. Guys, I came into December at $400,000. Actually, I think $380,000 for the year. I need to have about $140,000 December to hit my goal for the year at 525 to hit the Hall of Fame. In the last 3 weeks, I had the biggest order of my career come out of seemingly nowhere, $18,000. And then a week later, a $25,000 order came out of seemingly nowhere. I still am going to need more of a miracle to hit this goal and make this happen. But with unwavering faith and a extraordinary effort, miracles can happen. So again, what you got to ask yourself is, are you clear on why you're doing this? Because when you're clear on why, and you're clear on who you are and what you're trying to accomplish with this push, and it's more than just the number, you commit to the effort till the last moment and you do everything you can do. Because that's how you execute your plan to the fullest potential when reschedules happen, when cancels happen, when your car breaks down, when your fridge breaks, when your girlfriend breaks up with you in the middle of push. Didn't happen to me, but just throwing random things that can go wrong here. Are you saying, woe is me? Or are you asking, what can I do right now to make it happen? Because execution, guys, is all up here. And the last thing we're going to talk about today, guys, is what skills do you need to rock this push? And what are habits do I need to rock this push? And one thing I really want to emphasize of something that's really led to a game changer of me to increase my sales from 220 to 300 to 380 to over 500 this year, and hopefully over 600 to 700 next year, is I work on the business like you guys are right now, showing up, listening to this call every single week. I spend time learning something new, practicing my scripts, and role playing with Alan Hernandez, who's on this call right next to me, every single week. Because it's so important. And when push starts, do I stop doing that? No. Me and Alan argue for 10 minutes about what time we can do this script practice, and we find a time anyway. Every single week. Because just because it's push, doesn't mean I don't do the most important things. That's when I double down. Because, guys, where focus goes, results go. If you want to sell a lot of sets, You better be working on sets all through push. You want to sell some package deals? You better be working on package deals all throughout push. You better be handling objections all throughout push. Believe me, the preparation you do before push is important. The preparation you do during push is where your intentionality is going to go. So, guys, what are a couple of skills that you can work on now and you can work on up to push that can really help you guys close bigger orders? Because why do you sell more during push? You sell more during push because of energy and because of urgency. You know how bad you want it. Your customers can feel how bad you want it, and they know why you want it, and they know why it's urgent. So, how can you communicate that urgency in the best way? How do you use that urgency? Because, guys, no one's buying a $3,000 knife set to be nice just because you have a push goal. Nobody. They're buying it today because of you. They're not buying it because of you, but they're buying it today because of you. So, what are the three skills? Skill number one is how are you sharing your goals? Skill number two is are you using those goals to close? Skill number three is are you using those goals to upserve? Are you creating urgency in all three of these facets of your demo, service call? Probably not events, but demos and service calls, all of your appointments, and even on the phone on marketing to create these goals. So I'm not going to go over all these in super depth. If you want, you can shoot me an email at sharpninjaben@gmail.com. Alan, if you can throw that in the chat, that'd be fantastic. And I can potentially get you more information on this. When it comes to goal sharing, the biggest thing I want to communicate to y'all is number one, is don't just share the goal, guys, because nobody cares about the goal. They care about the why. My Hall of Fame, no one cares about. What people care about is that I've been alive 25 years. My parents have left the country once since I've been alive, and I want to treat them to a dream vacation that they've never even thought about, that they've never even thought was possible. And I want to do something for them because I know life is short. That's what my customers care about. That's why they're excited to go to bat for me and do things for me that they wouldn't necessarily do. So I want you, whatever your push goal is, guys, I want you to write it down and I want you to ask yourself, why do I care about this? And write down that reason. And then under that, why do I care about that second reason I just wrote down? And do that 7 times. Not necessarily today, not necessarily tomorrow, but one of the first things you should do, guys, is figure out why do I care about this push? And share that most powerful reason with your customers every single time. Number 2, when you're sharing your goals, don't just share goals, guys. Share it as a story. I have a formula that I teach through all my mentees on how they take their goals and turn it into a story. Don't just give Mrs. Jones a laundry list of your goals, guys. If you give her 20,000 things, she's going to remember one. Give her one thing so she remembers one goal, your push goal, why this matters so much to you. What's the goal? Why do you care about it? I don't know if you can take this in the chat. I'm talking fast. Actually, I went too far. Ask permission. What's your goal? Why do you care about it? Why is Cutco the place to go after it? What is the sales goal that gets you to that goal, that gets you to that why? Why does the goal scare you? And even though the goal scares you, why are you committed to it anyway? Changing it into a story. My main goal, Mrs. Jones, is to open up my own business one day because I really want to do something that impacts millions of lives. This job's amazing because it lets me work whatever schedule I want and allows me to fail hard, fail fast, fail often. It also let me pay for school. And I started a college mentoring program, and now I mentor 2025 kids around the nation and teach them what helped me. And because of that, whenever I can go after a crazy goal that can inspire them, I just go for it. So right now I'm going after the craziest thing I've ever tried to do, Mrs. Jones, And I'm trying to be the youngest and fastest ever to reach the Cutco Hall of Fame by selling $525,000 of Cutco. It's going to take 350 of these presentations. So thank you so much for being number blank. This goal is so scary, Mrs. Jones, because like I have to sell more between August and December than I did the entirety of 2023. It is bonkers how big I've had to think and how much I've had to plan. But I'm just so committed to making this happen no matter what, because blank. I share the story about my parents. That's how you turn a goal into a story. Are you sharing goals or are you sharing your story? And make sure, guys, after you share these goals, you tell Mrs. Jones, what's the number one way she can help you out, guys? Is it by buying? No, it's by giving you tons of referrals. And let her know that. You're not telling her this to make you buy a bunch of stuff. You're telling her this so she gives you a bunch of recs. Number two, use your goals to close deals. What do I mean by this? Oh my God, Mrs. Jones, I need this so bad. Please buy this ultimate set so I can win the push. No, it's not what I mean, guys. What I mean is remind Mrs. Jones why you're working so hard. She knows you are. She might not remember why. She might not remember why she likes you, why she's inspired by you, by what you're going after. So when you guys are asking for the order, ask Mrs. Jones your closing questions first. Hey, Ms. Jones, would you get good use out of the set? Great. What color would you want? What color block would you want? Are you going to pay it in full? Would you do the 5 months? And the most important question, is this within the realm of possibility budget-wise, Mrs. Jones, if you really wanted to? Is this within the realm of possibility budget-wise if you really wanted to? If all those answers are yes, it's the right set, she can pay for it. Great. This is where you bring in your goals because you're looking at the right package. You got to add some urgency. Well, Mrs. Jones, do you want to know what I do for my customers that buy from me? Big old smile on my face. Do you want to know what I do for my customers that buy from me? Sweet. Well, here's the deal, Mrs. Jones. Cutco sets the prices, not me. Cutco sets the prices, not me. I wish I could be like, it's 5% off. Notice I didn't say 50. I said 5. I wish I could say it's 5% off. I can't do that. What Cutco does allow me to do, Mrs. Jones, is to buy you products to earn your business, which I am happy to do. Cutco lets me buy you products to earn your business, which I am happy to do. Because you know the giant goal I'm going after to break that Hall of Fame record. You know that giant goal I'm going after to win the Southwest Push. You know the goal I'm going after to graduate debt-free. It's going to take an army, a village, and many prayers to hit this goal. Every order counts. It's going to take an army, a village, and many prayers. Every order counts. So, as a thank you for how much it's going to help me, here's what I'm going to buy you. Notice, guys, I'm not begging Mrs. Jones to buy for me. I'm just reminding her, why am I working so hard and why I'm willing to go out of my way to buy her something I don't need to buy her. I don't have to give her anything for free. I'm choosing to buy her those things because she's helping me. Use your goals, guys, to emphasize how awesome it is that you're buying stuff for Mrs. Jones. And finally, the last thing, I'm not going to dive too deep because we're low on time. I don't want to keep you all too late before Alan wraps us up, is upserving. Use your goals to upserve. Build a future wish list with every single customer. After you guys get the credit card, awesome, Mrs. Jones. I'm so excited for you. Just so you know, Mrs. Jones, we don't believe in one night stands here. I'm going to stay in contact with you. And I'm going to stay in touch and make sure to let you know when your wish list is on sale. So because of that, I always like to make sure that I know your future wish list. So, not today. Key line, guys. Not today, but in the future, let me ask you, These are the 5 different programs you could take advantage of: cookware, flatware, family program, business gifts, upgrade program for the knife set. How would you rank them? Which one's probably next? What's next? What's next? Make the list. And with every single customer, every single time during push, all it takes to increase your average order by 20 to 30 to 50% is by asking this one question. Well, Mrs. Jones, just so you know, because you're getting your blank, your knife set, your whatever, if we bundled it with the blank, you would actually save a ton of money. And I would do something extra special for you because of that goal I'm going after. So if I was willing to do something extra special for you, would you want to know about it just for fun? That's it. Make a wish list. Ask them if they want to see it because you're going after that goal and you're willing to do something extra special for them. Do they want to see it just for fun? If you use your goals and you ask that every single time, about half the people will let you show them. And about a quarter, 20%, might actually buy that package. Guys, imagine having multiple package deals in your push. What would that do? Could do a lot. So, what are the 3 things you can work on right now, guys, to create urgency in your push? Learn how to share your goals at the beginning, use them to close the deal at the end, and use them to build a future wish list and upserve at the end. That's how you create urgency. That's how you increase average order at a push. And with that, guys, let me kick it back to Alan to take it home, wrap us up, give us a summary. What did we go over today? What did we learn? We might go over a minute or two, guys. It's okay. We might stay on for questions. We'll see. But I want to keep you though. But Alan, bring us home, baby. You're muted.
Thank you, Ben. That was fire. Honestly, that was amazing. So let's zoom this all the way out. So what you heard today was the full picture of how not just do a push, but to have a breakout push. Right? There's nothing groundbreaking today, but I hope you saw what it really takes is just a level of intentionality, intensity, and freedom of thought that you may have never considered before. I truly believe, and Ben does too, that every single person on this call is capable of having their breakout push. Because Ben and I, we don't have superpowers, right? We're regular people, right? We just have been working at this for a while and have had such a focus on this. So we started with mentality because the decision isn't real, the plan won't hold, the why isn't true, then you're going to self sabotage. If you haven't stepped into the identity, you're going to hesitate. If you don't release your limitations, you're going to keep negotiating with yourself, right? That was the inner work. And then I talked about the structure, if you remember. We broke, again, it's breaking down the goal to the ridiculous, creating your calendar based on energy and time, remove any friction so you can just show up and execute. And then finally, change your surroundings to guarantee your success. Those are the 4 parts of building your bulletproof plan. Then Ben walked us through the execution of the bulletproof plan, right? What it looked like when the plan actually met the reality, how momentum is built week by week leading up to push, how adjustments are made when things don't go perfectly, right? Which they won't. And how discipline can carry you on the days motivation just doesn't show up, right? That's the outer work. Now, here's the connection between the two. Mentality without execution becomes wishful thinking. Execution without mentality turns into burnout. A real breakout push happens when both are aligned. So when you decide the goal without limitations and you structure the plan so it cannot fail, and you protect the energy and what matters most, and then relentlessly execute with consistency and not emotion, that's when we can create a breakout push. So here's the challenge that Ben and I want to leave you with. In the next 48 hours, guys, I want you guys to really write this down, hone this in. Number one, give yourself permission to choose a goal that pushes your limits of what you think is possible. Give yourself permission to choose a goal that pushes your limits of what you think is possible. Right? It's so easy to go after a goal that feels safe, that feels comfortable, that feels secure, that what your manager wants. But imagine what can become of you if you choose a goal that pushes your limits. Right? So give yourself that permission, right? Give yourself that permission to choose that goal. Number two, it's not if I can hit this goal, it's how. So create the bulletproof plan to hit that goal. Create the bulletproof plan to hit that goal. That means decide your why, break it down into the number of orders you need, right? Identify where those orders are going to come from. Build a calendar that protects your energy and guarantees your goal. Break it down to the ridiculous. Even if it's imperfect, guys, even if you don't have every answer yet, clarity will always beat delay. And if you do these two things in these next 48 hours, you're going to immediately separate yourself from the majority of the reps who stay stuck in the thinking about it mode, who just take a bunch of good notes from this workshop and then close their book and say, all right, that was good, and then move on with their day.
Yeah. And one thing y'all might end up thinking when you start making this plan is, wow, this seems impossible. I'm sure Alan, when he first made his 100, remember when he first was making his 100K push plan, was like, oh my God, there's no way I can do this, Josh. And he started mapping it out and it started seeming impossible. How am I going to create 5, 7, 10, 15 orders a day? It might seem astronomical. That's when you remember, guys, again, it's not if, it's how. Plan isn't 3 weeks long, it's 8 months long. Question you need to ask yourself right now is, what do you need to do for the next 8 months where you can create enough orders? What do you need to do for the next 8 months so that you need to create less orders by having a higher average order or a higher closing percentage? Do you need to build a marketing layer? Do you need help getting referrals? Do you need to get better referrals so you can see higher quality people? Again, your systems can only expand to the level of your goals. Don't change the goal, change the plan and adjust as needed. Now, one of my favorite books I've read lately, guys, is Who Not How. The science that how the greatest achievements start is when people stop asking, how do I do this? And start asking, who can help me achieve this? Who can help me create a marketing or gifting layer in my business? Who can help me double my average order or add a referral layer into my business? Well, shameless plug, guys. That's what we do. And that's why we do it. That's why Share Ninja Academy exists. We help reps upgrade their appointment layer so they can work the schedule they want and grow their output exponentially. They live a lifestyle where we teach you how to live a lifestyle where you can travel 4 months a year like I do and grow every single year. How to build a business that's easier to sustain and requires less travel and less mental energy. And just how to sell more and more per week to have your best year ever back to back to back. That's what we do. And if that sounds exciting and you want to learn more about it, I'm going to put this interest form in the chat. We had about 5 more spots in the academy for 2026, and we got a couple of All-American and Silver Cup winners for 2025, which is super, super exciting. With that, we might stay on for some questions. If y'all have a question, type the word Q in the chat. And I don't know, Alan, if you got a few minutes, we can probably answer some questions. People ask some questions on the talk. If not, have a wonderful rest of your night, guys. And do not forget, little quote I like to end every call with, so you can do everything you want in this life, guys. It is just a matter of how. Have an amazing night, y'all, if you're leaving. Miss Ariana, first in the question queue. Feel free to unmute and ask your question. Oh, wait, I have to let you unmute. That makes a lot of sense. Sweet.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, sweet. First of all, I want to say you two kicked ass. Thank you very much. That was amazing. Secondly, I was curious. I don't see the interest form. I was curious, is that snack form one?
Yes, it's that tinyurl.com/snack form.
I don't know if it's like weird to ask if like the price for your guys' monthly classes.
So fill that thing out and you'll get more information after that as well. This is not an application form. This is an interest form. It's just more of like, hey, I'm interested. I want to learn more. What can you tell us? And everyone that fills that out will at least reach out to them and let you guys know, like, hey, what do we do? How do we do it? We might have like a little phone call just to like learn a little bit more about you. Because not everyone's always a right fit right away for it, but we do like to at least put you on the right path if you are, and even if you're not.
Okay, sweet. And I honestly thought a lot of people were gonna be gone, so I just went for it. But thank you
Oh,
guys so much. And
of course.
yep, good.
Thanks for asking a question. Appreciate it. Mr. Is it Karan? I'm probably butchering that. I apologize. But let me let you unmute and you can ask your question and tell me how to pronounce your name because I totally butchered that.
So it's Curran, basically
Karan.
Curran without the T.
It's that
Yeah,
easy. Okay.
yeah, man. But my main question is, so I have like my own divisional push. It's called like a winter break push. It starts literally in like around 2 weeks, the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, how would you prepare for it? Like considering that less than 10 days away or more than 10 days.
Great question. So obviously one of the things you heard us say today is like, hey, the best time to start the push is right now.
Right.
And I'm sure you've kind of started the planning phase. The biggest advice I always give people is one of the things I said earlier of like, don't make the mistake of being like, oh, I'm just going to prep so hard. I'm going to make all these calls. I'm going to have all the appointments booked for the push and I'm just going to go. And sometimes that can work. But what's even better than that is doing as many appointments as you can right now, getting so many more fresh referrals, and any appointments you can't book before Christmas, booking them after Christmas and being like, "Psh, it's for the push. This is great." And you're going to accidentally book half your push, building momentum now, building a network now, building skills now. So besides that, what other things can you do right now? Creating a goal sharing script for yourself to keep that stupid simple so you keep your customers on mission. I think it's a very valuable thing you could do. I think creating a social proof page of making a list of every customer and the city next to their name of customers of yours so that you can be like, hey, who do you know on my customers list? And you can just name drop the sets they've bought when you're showing other people. So you can start to leverage that social proof of everyone's buying from you, everyone's referring from you. And besides that, the third is obviously going to be going back to the mentality of like, do I know why I'm doing this? Do I know what I'm working so dang hard for? Do I know what I'm trying to become? And once I've identified that, what what is a plan for someone who's trying to do that? What does that need to look like? What does that need to create? And kind of doing what we talked about of like, how do I challenge all of the beliefs I had of this plan? Like, okay, I'm gonna do 5 demos a day, 5 days a week, 3 weeks. Sweet. That was my plan. Cool. What if you did six? What if it was 6 days a week? Or what if it was 6 demos a day? What would it look like to challenge each of your each of the things that you thought was your perfect schedule? So I think if I were to give you a step by step of like, what do you need to do right now? I would say number one, define why. Start with the mentality, obviously, of like, what am I doing? Who am I trying to become? And by the way, for some of you that have never heard the who am I trying to become thing, might sound really weird the first time you're doing it and thinking of it. I know it did for me as well. But do the best you can with it, and you might find a couple of aha moments in there. So that's number one. Number two, define what does a person who accomplishes that goal look like? What do they believe? What are their habits? I think those are probably the two most important questions of the mindset. 'Cause again, we're limited on time here, pushes in a week or in 10 days. But how do we get the meat and potatoes? Those are the first two things. Number three, create your bulletproof plan. Number four, challenge that bulletproof plan, like I was talking about. Create the original plan. Cool. Now, how do I challenge everything that's in the schedule? How do I make this plan easier to complete and harder not to complete. Number 4. Um, Number 5 would be to create that goal sharing I was talking about. And number 6 would be the social proof. Those would be the 6 things that, and obviously that's in addition to doing as many appointments as you can right now. But if you can do those 6 things before push starts, you're going to be in incredible shape. If you can even do 4 of those things before push starts, you're going to be in great shape. So I'd say the more you can check off, the better. Obviously, we've given you probably like 30 action steps that you could do today before a push. But in my head, those are probably the most important. But let me know, does that answer your question, by the way? Of
Yeah. Yeah. That was really good. I really appreciate that.
course. If y'all have more questions that come up later, as I'm sure they will when you guys are making your push, I gave you guys my email. Remember, it's sharpninjaben@gmail.com. I can also send those questions to Mr. Allen. I think he had to go because I'm pretty sure he had a hard stop. I didn't, so that's it's okay. But yeah, let me get Xander last question of the night, and we'll call it. And maybe we'll be able to get a recording out there somewhere, maybe on YouTube for y'all. But Xander, let me let you unmute so you can ask your question, brother.
Sounds good. Man, Ben, I really did appreciate this call, man. I was able to get some of our SEC people into call like Emma and Caden, and I really feel like this call made bounds into what I want to build for my business because I'm competing for Silver Cup right now. But the thing that I've been thinking about for the past few weeks is like, what's my 2026 going to look like? And y'all inspiring me to have a 100K SC2, you know, and it starts now, you
Good
know.
man.
So
Dang
I
right,
thank you
dude.
so
Of
much, man. And then I'm gonna reach out to y'all about coaching. I already filled out your form and sent you and Alan an email.
course you did.
Yeah.
Love it, Xander. It's funny because the person you're competing with is obviously also in our program right now, Mr. Ari, as you
Oh,
might know.
that's funny. That's
You didn't
funny.
know that?
I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm coaching with Seth Care and who am I coaching with? A little bit with Christian Hogue and the Dreams Life
Dude,
Academy with Alex Funk and Austin Uber League, but I never did that.
awesome. Dude, hey, good. The more there's a million, by the way, guys, one thing that y'all should know, if those that are still watching the recording, listening to this call right now, there's a million amazing coaching programs and amazing people in this company. I am never going to be like, oh my God, we're the only program for this and that and whatever. Like, whoever you resonate with the most, guys, it's like, find those people who's living the life you want to live, who's doing the things you want to do, and like try to coach with those people if you can. And I'm a big believer that like there's different people that are going to resonate with different people, and it's just an incredible thing. Xander, do you have a question in there? Or is it more just of a like, I just want to tell you this, Ben?
It was just a statement. I just want to tell you before I get back to the mall. You know, we're not leaving till like midnight.
But well,
I'm
hey,
joking.
everyone. Well, everyone, have an amazing night. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for staying till the end. Really shows your guys' commitment, which I'd love to see. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your night. It was